Buongiorno everybody and welcome to AxBy94 versus Mascettino. Tonight we have many a good map on the table. I'm going to stop by the way and welcome everyone to this exhibition match. Yeah, we have a whole host of wonderful maps to go through tonight, and it is the Deadly San Marino versus the Jetpack Crazy Man of Italy. And it's been quite a while since these two have matched up. In fact, seeing them in an exhibition match is quite fitting, given how both of them maybe struggled a little bit in last season, coming quite low down in either of their groups, both finishing 6th actually in both Group A and Group B. So getting back to grips tonight, and starting off we do have Grassy Knoll, so equally as challenging for both players. But you can see that AxBy bring in the Med-Grain combo already, the Sapper, Scout, and Paratrooper, so mixed with the rest. Meanwhile, Masce will be bringing the Medic, Sapper, Para, Scout, and a Gunner as well. So, interesting that... I'm just double checking the lineups because, you know, you gotta reread it, be like, wait, no, it is Masce bringing the Gunner and AxBy bringing the Para. So, yeah, double bazookas, but on a map like Grassy Knolls. I mean, I have avoided this map for a long time because compared to Grassy Outpost, you know, you can see where my preferences lie. But the simpler approach can be equally as challenging, and when you do have certain options such as the suicide, it's it's interesting. So with the Kamikaze on the way, potentially later on, maybe, who knows, he is of course going to start by looking for the med, bearing in mind Masce is in yellow, need to remind myself of that, but interestingly enough, doesn't go for the Momo instead, goes for the high damage, so could have been because he ran out of time, more than likely feels like it may be, but it's good damage anyhow, and he's gifted AxBy the easy Momo advantage. So not quite what I expected from Masce, but I'm sure he has a plan. I mean, I feel like he's wise enough now to know that it's technically not the end of the world to not get that first rank. I find a lot of the time I'm quite thankful to still have my medic breathing in the late game, because any foothold that you can gain in getting a tranquilizer is always going to be huge. And speaking of huge, this Sappo's got a huge way to go in order to make it to his target, so maybe a little bit of dawdling from these two so far. I mean, easy first turn for AxBy, as it is all Masce on the attack. It's just where he intends to push. This Grenadier, he only just makes it, does gain the medical balls as well, so I am guessing that was the intention all along. Healing items, of course, are something that you should always be looking to pick up. And Masce has done exactly that here. Perfect example, really, of the first turn, dealing high damage, and sort of taking, I don't know, maybe it was a ploy. They sort of took AxBy's attention away from gaining those healing items, because AxBy still had plenty of time to go and collect that. So interesting maneuvers from Masce, sort of throwing him off guard. I don't know, maybe I'm looking too deeply into it, but if you agree, Masce, let me know in the comments. But yeah, even though he has taken a hefty chunk of damage from that Grenadier, the Sapper still has the option to poison, which basically cancels out the medic on AxBy's team. Because when you think about it, any tranquilizers that are dealt, that Sapper will be there to deal the damage. So yeah, these clusters really come in handy. That's a little bit short though, not the kind of damage that Masce was looking for. He will be fuming over that one. Because when you think about how much he's sort of in the driving seat here, those small mistakes can come back to haunt you, especially when it was on the Grenadier as well. So more work to do on him to take him down. AxBy looking for maybe a push, but uphill with a TNT is going to be tricky. So he's going to body block, I assume. Or he'll go for the paratrooper outright, given his health. Only a 30 and self-damage, so it's very much on the back foot right now for AxBy. You've got a feel for him, but Mache is very much on the ball and collecting all resources. Again, just that tactic. the tactic of just completely throwing AxBy off has thrown me off too, because suddenly all the crates are gone and they near enough all belong to Masce. So it's like you've gained a skip, but you've lost every resource on the map at the same time. How does that happen? I really don't know. But the Gren is heavily damaged and with no ability to collect any medical balls, AxBy is really forced into a corner here, because now with two other pigs besides the orderly who can heal, he can combine the body blocks or he can run away. I'm thinking he is going for the enemy scout here. Unfortunately not getting the jump, that is unlucky too. This map is just cruel, so very cruel to some extent, and that should be an easy double. Just needs the right amount of power. Should be enough. Maybe not. Oh, I told you this map is cruel. It is not having any of it. And just the single hit. I'm feeling for AxBy here, because the confidence seems not gone yet, because again the med is still alive, but down to 63 with the tranquilizer that will prove fruitless unless AxBy can somehow freeze all the other pigs' turns, which is just not going to happen. So yeah, I think Masce now can sit back and relax, as the Grenadier is certainly dead. And without any heavy hitting pigs now, it's going to prove very, very difficult for AxBy to get back into this. Although crate has been dropped, so he just needs to make sure he collects it, because any bit of resources he can get here are going to be very helpful. He does go for the second. Still not quite as close as he'd want them to be. He is ignoring the crate though. And that's a little bit overshot. Oh my, 22. So dealing roughly 40 odd damage, but now he really needs to heal. He has to take every opportunity to heal here, because this might potentially be the last time that the enemy orderly can take his go. Sorry, AxBy's not the enemy, but the Sky Blue orderly, and 10 HP is all he can really do. Okay, so they're not massively damaged, but again, I'm very worried about this mid-game here. That's, yeah, AxBy knows it too. It's like, what can you do? What can you do? Because of course this will be removed and then healed by... No, sorry, this won't be removed, but the... Oh, yes, it will be removed. Sorry, my bad. Goodness gracious. But Masce is not looking for that. He does not care one bit about his med. And just looking at his lineup, that is his sapper. So the 50 dealt and some water damage just to add on an extra insult. Extra 10, 60 from that. My goodness. So options available. He does have the scout coming up next as well, so he'll be looking to gain some extra poisons. Again, AxBy is slipping up on that jump. Can be tricky, but unfortunate health lost. And he's got to be quick with this shrapnel here. Just with the minuscule amount of seconds remaining. No extra water damage though. I think that was just a 50. which is pretty solid. That's the bare minimum that you kind of expect from a shrapnel user, especially one of AxBy's quality. But the jetpack man, the ninja, proving his worth with those jetpacks. He knows the threat of the scout in the long run, although that's going to be a difficult one to nudge him in the water here without overshooting or undershooting. That seems decent. 37 into the drink, good spin, and I don't think he's going to be dead yet. Not quite. 20 though, oof. He's going to have to drop himself backwards. Or not, doesn't... You don't want to get the skip, man. Gotta get that -5. Make yourself that low health annoyance for Mascettino. Unless, of course, he can outright kill him here, which I think is what he's banking on, but truth be told, I've completely forgotten how much health he's on. And is it a skip? No, so unlucky. But with the skip on the cards for Mascettino, it kind of makes more sense for him to just delete both of them in this turn. Unless he can think of something better here. He can also heal, that is true. After everything that's been going on, I've forgotten about the heals already. He's looking for the double hit on himself and the sapper and to gain the skip. If this hits, this will be an incredible shot. No, I think he's just playing it safe. Rolls it down the hill. Should have gone for the right side. Just, ugh. Either way, he also didn't hit himself. It took me a moment. It took me a moment. Maybe that was intended. Maybe he's just going to bank on one of his other teammates doing the damage. I don't know. I don't think it was intentional, but at least he poisoned the sapper, right? He got a little bit. Either way, the paratrooper repeating in kind on the enemy sapper. Now all out of jetpacks, he is going to be kind of useless. But now this sapper is going to drop some medical balls, which is going to be very important for whoever picks them up. Of course, it is going to be the gunner. Mascettino will not let those resources be used, even if he doesn't actually use them himself. Now, he could heal up here, but I honestly think it's better just to get the extra double damage onto that sapper. And unfortunately, no more poisons, so no potential skip on the scout, but Mascettino can't forget about him either. And not quite the outcome he would have wanted there. I say that as he almost gains another skip turn. But now that sapper's in trouble, and he's probably going to have to detonate himself in order to avoid gaining a skip for Mascettino. But incoming crate collection for AxBy, seeing as the medic still hasn't taken his turn yet. He's going to lose the health, but gain the extra and very, very important resources for both him and his scout. Seeing again, as he already has the skip turn, the medic isn't going to be a problem, but he needs to ensure that within the next 2 turns, that medic is well and truly dead, I feel. And this was very much intentional, again, from AxBy, just knowing that his scout was more in need and kind of more important right now. Poisons are going to be huge in this late game, so he can sacrifice his sapper to maybe get the kill. Very much maybe. Big damage. I think that might have just been a 50 though. As he avoids the skip turn, and was it just a 50? Mascettino won't let us look. He's not going to let us look. 57, so yeah, it wasn't as exciting as he'd wanted to be, but this is where the slight downside of the medical ball can come into play, as AxBy is in a very weak position with both of his pigs nudged close together, so it should be easy damage here for Mascettino. In fact, didn't actually end up bunching them together, but might do on this next turn. No, bounces away. So very lucky again for AxBy. Just not quite going Mache's way there. This game has chopped and changed, and this scout is basically one hit away, but AxBy choosing the path of running away, which is commendable, especially when you lose health that fast. But without any threats of losing a pig through skipping, he doesn't need to worry about his health right now. That should make it up the hill. Just, yeah. On the cusp. So he is looking for the skip on the med right now, I think. Because that's going to drop him down to low 70s. You kind of want him to be in the 60s and then deal like mortar-ish damage. But heals coming out once again. Mache making sure to get closer. But this will be a huge boost for Mascettino, definitely. It's going to bump him back up above 100. And that might have well and truly flipped this game on its head, unless we can see more heals onto Abraham down there. He's on 57. The orderly health difference right now is just too important. Bearing in mind, Mache again still hasn't actually used any of his tranquilizers. What? It's like the guy who went first didn't even use the damn tranquilizer. But AxBy's going to persist, deal more damage, basically remove the medical ball, heal. But Mache does not care because he can heal himself. So it's going to bump that gunner back up to 104, and then probably look to tranquilize the medic and potentially seal this first round. Make sure he gets it, but keeping his own position in mind. So with the skip turn finally coming around for Mache. And a para out of jetpacks. He just needs... is he looking for a double hit? Get the kill on the scout and then somebody else maybe? No, he's just going to outright kill the scout. That's fair enough. That's a nice simple approach. So the scout falls, and we are slowly dropping in pigs. What started out as a fairly spicy endeavour has slowed down somewhat, with all the pigs kind of bunching together. But once again, I'm liking the strats from AxBy of just getting a better height advantage, but also just running away a little bit. Sometimes you need to create that distance, create that sort of sense of pressure, because so often you have so many players that just bunch their pigs together, that take the easy route of being one-on-one, when if you have a health advantage, you need to put yourself into that kind of advantage where AxBy is now. He's got the height, which adds a little bit of pressure onto shots, and of course, you know, if Mache wants to ensure that his accuracy is near enough 100%, he kind of has to get closer, unless he's really confident. But that's what I'm saying, there's always that pressure that you can add to your opponent just by creating that distance. But I say that as Mache brings out the rocket launcher and says, "Screw you," to the orderly as he falls. And now it's a 3v1. And with 2 hits onto both of these pigs, I mean, that's a beautiful first hit, full 40. And water damage as well, so the med down to 1 hit away, but with his 2 tranquilizers, that's going to equal 40 damage right there, not to mention anything else that the rest of the yellows can just pummel into this paratrooper. So sad, but I would say that he's not out of it yet, because again, health pools for both the gunner and the medic are quite low, and no water damage coming, but I see maybe a potential flamethrower here to near enough seal it. Never mind, it is the paratrooper's turn. But Mache again taking no chances, just making sure he gets in close. so that he can deal the necessary damage, and even has a 50 on offer as an absolute last resort. But all he needs to do is deal this damage. But interestingly as well, his power on 57. So I feel as though if this power had more resources, if AxBy was able to have kind of taken the time to grab some stuff, because again, it's very easy to get tunnel vision when you are gifted the first turn trank. It's like, oh, tranquilizer, yes, but then you don't realize the time that you could have taken to collect the crates. I know, again, it's also factoring in that pressure of like you're taking the time to go and collect them and then having to make it back to where your opponent is. So almost factoring nicely for AxBy. I mean, down to 15 HP is not terrible, but if he'd done just that little bit more in that exact area, that might have been a kill. But health pools aside, the gunner is still holding just amazing weaponry as he hits the full 50 into the para, and that near enough seals it for this first round. In fact, I'm pretty sure we can call it here, because that, unless just absolute magic happens, it is very much the first round to Mascettino. But like I say, Grassy Knolls is never a pleasant map. It's never a kind one. And that just those early first turns were just so unexpected. But yet again, AxBy fights on valiantly. We don't see this very often. The chivalry of the the defeated Hog, who must continue serving his country, almost getting the final kill that he could possibly get onto the orderly. I have a feeling we're going to see a nice, calm, grenade launcher. Just nice and chill, you know, just focus on the power, get the shot in, maybe a bit short. Yep, okay, interesting. So we might see, he can fight on, continue on, Mr. Paratrooper. You can do it. He's got a decent defensive position, to be fair. But all it takes is one of these pigs to wander along, and yeah, it is the gunner who is technically the most important right now. So maybe a little bit of pressure on Mashe right now. I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't know. I mean, with shots like that, how can I? Because this should be a simple, just maneuver as close as you can to him and get the damage. So many players just get so flustered when there's a little bit of distance, and it's like just move in as close as you can be, and that's when you like 100% just make sure that the shot is hit, you know? Don't take the chance, don't give your opponent any potential foothold. And Mashe, once again, proving my point in exactly that. I say that as it lands just short. What is these? I don't know, maybe we're all a bit rusty, aren't we? A little bit of pressure as AxBy clinging on to this first round for absolute dear life. And all he could wish for was a medical ball for Christmas. But he's going to the lowest point here so that he can have a little bit of cover. And he's just going to hit this and hope, I think. But I mean, from there, good power should do it. High shot, that's going to be a little bit far. So, no damage. And this should be the end of it, yeah. Mashe is making absolute sure of it. The fist is coming out. Oh no. Get out of here while you can. Grassy Knolls is not safe anymore. But at least we finally have confirmation of that dragged out round. As it is GG to Mashe. Takes round 1 for added insult the paratrooper rounds. And we move on to Nightfall. So, welcome back everybody to round 2 as we move on to Nightfall, a map that is synonymous with the likes of Mines, Water, and plenty of crates. There is, of course, its opposite in that of Daybreak, and in that map it is bridges and pillboxes and many other glorious things. But moving on to this round, as AxBy, I think, is kind of ready to go. He is bringing the Gren Sapper double scout and gunner lineup. Meanwhile, Mascettino bringing the med and Gren combo on this one alongside the Sapper scout gunner. So still mixed on turns 3 through 5, but once again we see the deadly combination with AxBy bringing these combos on round 1 on Grassy Knolls, and this time around it is Mascettino to bring it here on Nightfall. But this time around AxBy is the one who gets the first turn advantage, and off the top of my head I'm pretty sure crate-wise you'll find some roller grenades, some mines. I think later on there will of course be air bursts as well, but bearing in mind that Mascettino is bringing the med first, he needs to seek him out and deal that very early damage, and then he basically has to sacrifice his grenadier for that tranquilizer to the face, because that's usually how it goes when one player is bringing the pairing and the other is only bringing the heavy hitting grenadier. The grenadier is just automatically the target to go for, but that is a huge hit from AxBy. Oh, if that landed on a mine, because that was his plan all along, but almost pays off, my goodness. Now he's backed himself into a corner here, which kind of works out for Mascettino. Okay, yeah, I was wary of that. There could have been an extra damage in there for him. Not quite, but down to 53. AxBy can now turn his attention to the Grenadier, but again, with the time limit on this map, I feel like that's why this map is a favourite of certain players, because it's just challenging enough, because your navigation is not an easy task, but there is a solid 50. Again, not connecting with any mines as of yet. But 2 very solid turns from AxBy. Flying out the gate, wasn't able to find the Grenadier initially, but he now has just an insane arsenal of weaponry. Anti-P mines being added to that stockpile, times 3 as well. I swear that was times 2, but never mind. It is pretty intense, and it is once again going to be a grouping up of pigs here. Distance is... oh no, distance is not a favourite of Mascettino's, and he... I mean, he backed up and slipped, so I don't think the pause was in... the slip definitely occurred, and I don't think it was down to any kind of input delay. He just kind of backed up a little bit too far. So unless there was a disconnection, we might just have to have some kind of agreement from both players. Alright, and there is the confirmation. I believe we're just going to continue as is. I think that might have just been out of anger. I mean, it would have been if it was me. You're just about to throw the damn thing, and yeah, it doesn't quite go as planned, so far, Nightfall very much in favour of AxBy. The momentum is very much with him to take it to Mascettino with the stronger lineup. Mascettino has basically lined himself up on a plate here for the poison. Gotta make sure it doesn't overthrow. That's way over. Very surprising from AxBy. Normally quite composed in that situation, but 2 complete just misjudgments. Misjudgment in movement and misjudgment in power. Once again we see the suicide. But this should be an easy slide down into the water. You can of course get extra mine damage. Remember that minefield was actually reduced in size because that turn, in fact this exact turn, was maybe a little bit too easy to connect with a mine, but now it should be a little bit tougher, although that incline is very brutal, I will say. Any kind of balance. I mean, he's already down to 63. from full HP, so ouch. But AxBy making sure this time to collect as many resources as he can. And there's a potential for a wee double here if you can get the right angle down the hill. He's looking for it. If he had a little bit more time. He does get it from the Pekka's move, but sadly no doubles. Interesting. So far in these 2 rounds we haven't... Oh, I say that as this is kind of lined up perfectly for a double. So this one should be a simple hit for Mascettino. Yes, he confirms it this time. There is the double. And without a medic, and without any massive amounts of healing, of course he did pick up the medical darts, but he's going to have to save like 1 each for both of his pigs if he can shoot from over there. Of course, with a rifle it's usually a wee bit more wonky to try and get the hit in. Medical ball is way easier, and of course the healing hands just require you to stand in front of the pig and press the X button. So, and even then you don't have to be like directly next to him. So not the most amount of damage AxBy would have wanted in that situation, but you can see what he was trying to do. So we've got our groupings. So look at the mini-map. Everybody is just bunched together. The common theme continues, as does the slipperiness. Nice 360 spins from Mascettino, just making sure he has the cover. Not going with any kind of angle, which I always find interesting and a little bit scary. Just so often you see the AI hit themselves in those kinds of angles. It just gets a little bit terrifying that he could have hit himself, but bounces that pig into the water, standing exactly where he needs to collect the air burst. And now the medic can come along and do what he wants to do, which is very much heal, but there is no time to get that. Removes the crate entirely. Nobody gets the rifle bursts. And the second trank is incoming. So, yep, Grenadier having a hard time. That might be a little bit of... No, okay. No extra damage. Yeah, so this is where AxBy needs to make up for that previous, what was effectively a lost turn from missing that poison. You could do with a 120 here. Just a full damage shrapnel would be pretty cool. And he'll take the 50. That leaves him potentially 2 turns away from taking out the Grenadier. This is, yeah, where Mascettino needs to combine damage and use every second available, but needs to make sure that he's watching where he's going. So you can see where those lost turns are kind of coming back to haunt AxBy a little bit. It's like a shock reminder when you feel like you're in control that, hey, you're kind of still not, because when the pairing is there and you lose a turn and the Grenadier kind of gets his mindset back and is able to deal damage, I mean, heard some big explosions. He only took that single hit, so other scout, living dangerous. living very dangerous. Makes it through the minefield. Yeah, going back to what I was saying. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. When you're bringing the weaker lineup and you miss those hits, the vital ones, any vital shot that is missed is basically another stake into your heart. What are you, a vampire? I don't know. You know what I mean. The Grenadier's been healed, by the way. But this Sapper is well and truly stacked. Not full HP. But he is still prioritizing the gunner. And I'm just thinking if that Gren were to have been hit by that poison, and then AxBy could have dealt like a 50 or a 70 with that shrapnel, or even higher, got a 90. It could have just completely changed things. But you got this guy, oh my goodness, this scout down to 38. You got the gunner down to his 50s and poison, so he is potentially, sorry, 60 and poison. But he is near enough in skippable range, so he needs to make one of these count. Because the only thing this scout can really do from here is slowly wean down the health of Masce's pigs, but also to try and bait the enemy orderly over to the other side to heal, to try and bait Masce over to take some time. Not really sure what AxBy's trying to do here. He's just trying to make a party over here, because he's reduced his health down to skippable range. And Masce doesn't really need to do anything, he can just rely on... I don't know, because you can't really go for a melee, because you immediately put yourself in a poor position, and that is kind of a poor jump. I mean, you get to the other side, but you lose almost 40 HP there. Or near enough. I mean, he is a hog on a mission for sure, but... Okay, interesting. Goes for more poison. That angle is maybe a tad bit low. Yeah, flicks it up. He's scaring me. I guess AxBy still has plenty to deal with. Maybe he's gonna go with the crazy hit? I don't know, maybe I'm being crazy, but... Is he floating? He is quite literally floating. I guess this was the intention. Maybe, to finish him off. I mean, I'd be even crazier and just hit my gunner as well, because now the gunner is in easy skip range. It is a perfect mortar, like as perfect as that could have been. Oh my goodness, and the 12 as well. Loving it. Sadly knocking himself off. Actually, that does kind of does him a favour. Because 30 HP is perfect from the grenade launcher, but when you're a heavy, bazooka's not really going to cut it. You could flamethrower him, but that's a little bit far to go from there, and this guy is currently the priority. This is turning into a very crazy game, bearing in mind as well, AxBy's Grenadier is still full HP after receiving that medical dart, and Masce knocking him in the wrong direction, as he was looking for the extra pushback for water damage, but there are no mines on that side, so there's nothing to worry about there. There it is. I was ready for one of them at some point. Oh dear, but there's the Grenadier reversal. Not really. Oh, the Grenadier removal of the Trank, so AxBy is able to delete the medic here with just the high explosive grenade. Nice and simple, don't need to overthink it, don't need to overthrow it. Gets it in, perfect, full damage, and the med is done for. So we're now down to Gren v Gren, 120 versus 70, but with the body block on the side of AxBy. So this match is well and truly flipped, and is at the moment very much proof that you do not need to bring the stronger lineup in order to win, which is always something that we enjoy seeing, because it happens fairly rarely, let's be honest. But Masce keeping track of the health, and that is going to be a skip. Although he was down to... I'm pretty sure it was 28, wasn't it? But there are healing items held by that scout. It is just a single dart, but it is very, very important. And when he falls, Masce is going to have to send one of his pigs to get it, unless, of course, it is the scout that is behind the Grenadier at the moment. But he is looking for the insta-kill, he is looking for the maximum amount of damage you can get. And I would not put it past him here, as he throws it at his chest. It was just a wee bit too low. But this Sapper now down to 22, that mortar really proving very, very nice. Masce using the shotgun to gain the skip turn. And with 1 HP, He can either remove it. Oh, that's the thing. You remove one, but you gain one. And what you don't remove. Oh my goodness. What do you do here? I would honestly use the. I would heal one of them, or heal somebody. This. It's like. Do you heal and then. No, he is just going straight out poison. Okay. Which is not a bad move. Is that his 25 HP down? So he is down to 15 HP. Sorry, even worse than that. I can't do mathematics. 5 HP. That was perfect. It was it was 15-20 pin. Come on, get with it. 35 damage dealt, and a skip on the way, but the medical dart is collected, and Mache is running away with it. No, he's getting the height advantage, and will look to. Don't shoot the sapper. Okay, he's looking for the body block, and will remove the skip onto the ground. So unfortunate there for AxBy that the crate ended up remaining in the playable space, because if he had landed out of bounds, that crate would have been done for. So unlucky there. That was what I was worried about too, is just if you don't use it, then he will. And Mache just getting his trotters on the healing items where it was most needed. But once again, we have a Grenadier that is very healthy. It is 120 versus 45 right now, as far as the Goga goes. That's my favorite. Any mines? No mines. Still nobody stepping on mines today. Come on. Where are my minefields at? Do your job. But not max damage, only 37. As this time we might see yet another high explosive grenade from AxBy. There's not really much else he can do here. And I actually would stick with the body block, but I think he's looking to maybe blast him towards the scout. And that is very nicely done. I don't think it'll be extra damage. No, but the crate is there, and this guy is too far away to collect it. Mache is still going to go for it though. What an absolute trooper. 7 HP. Watch out for the mines. He is going for the TNT. I mean, he has the time. Can he make this jump? Oh, 5 HP. Extra spicy. What an absolute veteran. The grizzled sapper making his way to his target. After swimming, he's poisoned, he's near enough dead, and he can finally rest in his mission to... Oh, what a camera angle. In his mission to deal damage onto the Grenadier and potentially kill him here. They slide down together. Enemies once, friends maybe. But the Grenadier is not dead. But still, all things considered, removing a potential skip from your lineup of pigs whilst also dealing damage and almost killing the most important pig on the map would have been very impressive. But this is going to be some hefty damage onto the scout, looking for the skip there, and the gunner is down to 57, I think it was. 89, I don't know numbers anymore. But rocket launcher says hello. AxBy looking to blast him out of bounds. As we hear the extra splash from the mine. Das Anti-P-Mine. So down to 26. Mache's got to kind of drop his health here. Airburst is going to be very, very helpful, but kind of low HP. So not really that important. Yeah, he's already got... When you already hold the weaponry that deals the damage. I mean, again, I'm surprised that Mache is not dropping his HP down. He's going to do it himself. Okay. So that's gonna kill them both basically, and I feel that unless AxBy can push the gunner towards the pair here, it's going to be advantage to Masche. Because well, actually no, he just needs the head jump. I forgot, he's only 11, isn't he? Only a head jump needed. Only a single point worth of damage is needed. This will be a kill. But again, he could use the knockback. It's not going to be enough. And Masche on 1 HP can skip the turn of the... Oh no, but he can't. Yeah, he already knows it's too late. We all should have known. I mean, he could gain a draw here. If that push is going to be... You can see it. The gears are turning in his head here. If he can gain the knockback necessary, will it be enough? Or he needs him to land directly in front of his... Oh, if the bounce was lucky there. 8 damage is dealt even so the Grenadier survives on 7 HP. That was insane. My goodness, coming down to the wire, but AxBy coming away with it. Takes round 2 here on Nightfall. My goodness me. Words and things, cannot do them. We're moving on to Root Canal. Welcome back to round 3 onto Root Canal after that crazy second round. Still getting over that final turn. It was so close to getting that draw. That would have made it 2-1, but moving on up, it will be the Med Double Sapper, Para and Gunner for AxBy, and Masche will be bringing the Med Sapper, Para, Scout and a Gunner. So very mixed from Masche, continuing on his usual lineups, I suppose. It's only going to be the next round, I think, that will be quite meta-heavy for Masche, but we'll talk about that in round 4, because as far as Root Canal goes, it is Masche to go first once more, and more resources for him to collect. So the obvious advantage, once again, is going to be seeking out the MoMA, as the Sappers are in the corner, and Abraham, the Orderly, is on the other side of the map. So this is where you kind of have to make the choice of just kind of lasering in on the Orderly or taking that time to collect some crates where you'll find TNTs, you'll find the rocket launcher, and later on we do get some other items including mines as well. So maintaining the usual streak of items, but this is where AxBy can take the advantage as long as his time management is solid. Or maybe these two kind of went with a gentleman's agreement of like, I'm going to take this side of the map, you take the other, and we'll kind of do our own thing. So neither side looking to come together. So no MoMA in these first few turns, which is refreshing to see. And it will be the Para for AxBy and the Sapper for Masche who lose their turns. In this case it will be Masche to lose his. AxBy's Sapper going second. And it will be the Paratrooper on the next turn for AxBy. So he... No, sorry, it will be the Paratrooper for for Masche. I'm forgetting who tranked who. There's the Paratrooper. We got him. So it's AxBy's Para who is going fourth. So it will be after the next turn that Masche will gain the skip. So not necessarily what he would have wanted, I feel, to get the earlier skip. I mean, it does... Either way, it's handy regardless of which turn it is, but obviously you'd prefer it to be sooner rather than later, just because you can kind of more easily weave it into your future turns, you know? You're always trying to think ahead, and for me, I always try and get those skips in, like, turns 2 or 3, you know? Because those first few turns, if you are bringing in the pairing, have got to be very heavy with that second turn with the Gren. If you're not, If it's just a medic, then prioritizing paratroopers up there, or sappers as well. That is, of course, if you are mainly looking for what AxBy is doing right now, in dealing the shrapnel damage. Which is good. I think that was definitely at least a 50. It is indeed a 70. So the first one that we see in this matchup between these two. But in being near the water's edge, there is potential here for redubbed. The angle is very low, which worries me slightly. And the power is decent. He gets the roll, but not quite. Relies on the terrain a little bit too much as it veers off to the right side. And there is finally that skip that we were so confused about. So Mascettino ploughing through, seeing as he didn't get the poison on the sapper, he will instead look to deal the extra splash damage as he looks to push him into the water. Full 40, a little bit of a bounce, not quite. Those rubber parts say no. We are not going to be bouncy today, my friend. And it is just the 40. So that sapper now already down to 40 HP. Both gunners coming into play. AxBy not too happy about this gunner being mean to his own sapper, but he is only going to look for the body block and instead will be looking to target the other hog on the hill, who is equally as important with those jetpacks and near a tree as well. That is the perfect place. But sadly, doesn't work out. Normally, if you can get the shell to detonate just in front of the pig so that he just goes straight up in the air, a lot of the time that can cause some crazy damage combined with the terrain. But this is where Mascettino says, screw it, I need to be the one to go on the offensive, remove some of the damage and get... I wouldn't really go for the MoMA, because blocking up 3 dudes is going to be kind of annoying, but I don't think Mascettino really cares. The airburst is behind him too, but he's not going to care about that either because he can easily collect it. So, yeah. Mascettino getting bored of the gentleman's agreement that I made up in my head. And we have the regular scheduled programs resumed in that of the MOMA. Precious medic on medic action. But where's the Sosa? Where's the Goga? And both of those can be applied to multiple classes as well. Scout, Sapper, Gunner, Grenadier. It's wonderful. But sadly not for Bobby Jim, as he takes the 50 to the face and is the first casualty of war, which means that the MoMA, I believe, is reversed. I could be wrong. Seeing as the sapper is still healthy, we're going to see... Oh, we are going to see some Sosa. Sadly, no body blocks, but the poison... if AxBy is unable to use his orderly in the latter portion of this round, then it will prove very effective for Mascettino, but only the 50 there. Got me excited for a moment, thought it was more damage, but even so, consistent 50s are always good. Final jetpack now for this para, and that's not really a health number that you want to be on with a scout lurking. I say that as AxBy is not bringing a scout, so why should he care? GG pin. And tree is gone. Bazooka make tree disappear as crate fall from sky. And great bird pig fly with the flames of a dragon. But he decided to walk instead. Anyway, Needs to go collect those crates, but not massively important right now. He's going to look to bunch up pigs. Everybody congregating in this corner right now. The time taken from AxBy is only going to prove fruitful for a single jetpack. He is looking for a body block, but gets muddled up. In fact, brings the body block to him, kind of. And gains the kill. So back to a 4v4. Scout going to collect the resources. Maybe. No. Not feeling it. Don't think so. Going for a double. Or could even just poison the medic. There is enough of a gap, I feel, but he is instead looking for that double. Again, very low angle here from Mascettino. I'm going to keep it slightly elevated, because the moment that you kind of throw it into the ground, you lose that control of where it's going. So you kind of want to float it over with that little bit more power. But either way, poisons the pig that was not under that status effect before. Which means there are now 2 pigs on this side of the island for AxBy that are poisoned and being unable to use his medic. It's going to be prioritization for AxBy with his gunner still on full HP. And dealing some decent splash, all things considered. Equal between the meds as the scout drops. So that's 2 pigs down over the last 3 or 4 turns, which now makes it a 4v3. So advantage to AxBy, but it means that the cycle for Mascettino is speeding up in terms of how many tranquilizers he will have left to use. But it also means that defensively he kind of has to hunker down and bring in all of his defenses. Both gunners here, well I say that as he takes some self-damage, but both gunners are relatively healthy as the MoMA is finally reversed. And AxBy is able to remove one of the poisons from his sapper. It's a good choice. 55 HP is an annoying number without any kind of poison on it. And with no more scouts available for either side, it is purely going to come down to healing, I think. But AxBy needs to keep his cool, shoots him in the butt, and gains the skip turn, so yeah, this game has well and truly flipped on its head. We just need to see a continuous damage output here. Maybe some more crazy shrapnels would be very, very handy, but I feel that the prioritization is also very solid from AxBy. Keeping the damage going. Look at those just untouched TNTs. He is going all out tonight. And that is a solid 70 again. Could get extra in the water. Now the rubbery bits again. Stuffing him in his tracks. And again the 21. That damage number could be perfect if there were poison involved, but looking for the knockback to get the double damage. He's just thinking about the turn orders here. It will be 4th that the Para is taking his turn, so I feel Mascettino not taking any chances. Just making sure he deals the damage. And that's some solid hits. Oh, almost gaining the skip. And it was going to be his turn anyway, so handy that he didn't go for it, and kind of now calls AxBy's bluff to deal the damage with 2 remaining jetpacks. So he's going to want to get these in and to remove himself from the battlefield as much as possible. But that's a really far first one. I think he's only just going to have time to do this here. Yeah, he's just got to take himself out. Doesn't look like he's going for it though, but he does plonk himself near the pig. So making sure the med dies only just. Gets away with it. Orderly falls. Parrot is in position, and it looks like it's going to be a 3v1 maybe versus the gunner, but the gunner is having none of it. Mascettino will not allow this pig bomb to be used. But it does mean that he has spent 90% of this turn getting the head jumps in, but he does have time to get a shot away. Bazooka, it's got to be onto the medic. No kind of... Oh my goodness. Very, very messy. No fear as far as self-damage goes. A little bit onto the sapper. But again, this full HP gunner as well now finally collects the resources. There is the mine crate at the top as well. Homing missile, pretty mid. But if he wants to guarantee the 40, then it's not a bad shot by any means. Maybe put off by the blimp. Not entirely sure. In fact, he's looking to... I was going to say looking to gain the kill, but overshoots. And he will be regretting not using the homing missile now, as no damage is dealt there. Wow. That's what I'm saying. When you need to deal the damage, when you just need raw plain damage, don't make it tougher for yourself, because now Mascettino has just smashed the medic in the face with a shrapnel and has dealt a significant blow into removing the med from the battlefield. Of course, that's not going to stop him from healing. I feel like the health pool advantage is pretty significant for AxBy enough, because with this final tranquilizer, I think he's going to body block. He's going to body block the sapper and still get the hit, but instead he's going to create more work for Mascettino, because you can either sort of guarantee the kill for your opponent, but cause them to deal damage on themselves, or you can take their focus away entirely from somebody else, and they'll still get the kill, but it is very annoying to have to deal with those kind of low HP pigs. Like here, for instance, this sapper is just an annoying amount of health away, and AxBy knows it too. Where it's like you have to take the next 2 turns in order to take him down. And he's looking to blast him towards him so that when Mascettino does go for the med, that he's like, alright, you can kill him, but you might kill your own pig at the same time. Because, I mean, position-wise that's pretty good, but a simple pistol shot or even a shotgun. Oh, interesting as well. Still not prioritizing the med. I mean, yeah, doesn't really need to. He's still got time. This is what I really admire about Mascettino. This is what I really admire about Mascettino. My goodness. Absolute insanity. Takes 4 damage for it as well, and that has closed things in a little bit more. Health, again, is just by about 50 HP. Is the advantage for AxBy. But wow, what what a way to do it. What a way to say, hey, I'm still here. I'm still fighting. Even if he is taking that pistol to the brain. GG to that sapper. My goodness. 2v1. But yeah, this match very much highlights how those small mistakes, when you just need to deal damage, can come back to haunt you, because if that damage was dealt onto the sapper earlier by AxBy, he wouldn't have been such a big problem. And here we see the homing missile finally being relied on. And I do feel for AxBy, because I've been in that exact same situation in much more crazy circumstances in that semi-final. I know I bring it up every time I can, but it is true. It is just the worst example, the most painful example to be on the wrong side of. But Mascettino knows that he needs to deal big damage here. He needs like at least a 70 from this first hit. Like 50 is good, but any extras, any spirits of Angurio or KB could be with him. Solid 50. 65, that's good. That's very, very good for Mascettino. Because now AxBy needs to just guarantee the 50. I think he's going to look for a head jump, maybe? No, he's just taking stock. And, okay, he's guaranteeing the kill while also making sure that he doesn't end himself as well. Yeah, it doesn't blast them in the same direction. As long as it's 50, which it is, that guarantees the second round to AxBy94. So he has technically come back from a 1-0 deficit to take it 2-1 here in round 3. So GG to both. That was an insane end there. Root Canal, always a spicy one. But we're going to move on to Frostfight. So, welcome back everyone to round 4. As it is AxBy once more bringing the Med, the double paras, the Gunner in 4th and the Scout in 5th. Meanwhile, Masce with the standard meta lineup, as I mentioned at the start of round 3, with the double Paratrooper, the Sapper, Scout, Gunner. So, Scout, Gunner, 4th and 5th always seems to be such a common occurrence, but they just kind of fit so snugly. Gunner is prioritized down for a lot of players. But on a map like this, I'm curious to see what AxBy has planned with bringing him 4th. But it will be AxBy to go first and gain the skip. So I'm very, very interested to see if he has also remembered which Hog is called which, as both paratroopers are where they need to be. But he just needs to make sure that he tranquilizes the right one. The other prioritization that you could have here is collecting the health crates that are to his left right now. But he does get those mines. I guess he can leave it for someone else to do. But normally for Frostfight that is kind of the first 2 to 3 turns, where if you bring a med, then this is your obvious choice to then go ahead and collect the guided missile turn 2. And then turn 3 look to gain those medical crates, but bearing in mind that AxBy is kind of in the driving seat, it's easy to kind of get too far ahead of yourself. As he looks to gain the extra jetpack, which is always solid, but he has used a fair bit of time. And he's looking for the left side here. He's prioritizing the left, which is not a bad move. Does gain the extra jetpack as well and goes for the bazooka. This is interesting from AxBy. I was expecting some guided missiles, but this will give Masce the foothold onto the high ground. I think maybe he was just looking to collect more resources. It just seemed very... I'm not sure. Very indecisive. Masce wasting no time to get up here. That's of course the downside of gaining the high ground. Just the time that it takes. You only really have time to collect this, use it, and he uses it well. Dealing that 73. And potential water damage as well, not quite. But AxBy again still has time here. He will, I think, go for the cluster bomb crate. Needs to get the jump, and then he needs to go up top. There it is. So again, just a little confused as to why that wasn't done first time round. Maybe he just lost track of time, but he should have enough time here to get the guided missile away. Normally I would just... oh my goodness! Saving it for the last second, and yeah, goes for the other para. Gains the full damage. 74 on that hit, very nice indeed. Now this will be interesting. These next few turns, the anti-P mine is always a fan favorite, but I'm just very curious to see how long it takes these players to find the healing items. Don't forget that we do have the medical darts in the top left as well. So there are methods of getting back into this one, especially for Masce, who doesn't have the med advantage. Solid damage between the two, 75 split between them. Be it 75-25. The gunner now looking for the jetpack in the corner. So are we going to see some high ground shenanigans? We're going to see some... maybe some airburst collection? Don't forget the additional crates on the top side where Masha was. Those 2 crates are pretty valuable. So he goes for the body block instead. So he's got a turn. He's got 1 turn where that can come in handy until the gunner on Masha's side takes his turn. And despite what he was looking for, no grouping up as the scout shimmies away. Standing on the island, looking for the poison. What's it going to be? It's going to be 15 damage. Plus 10 over time. Scout on scout. Oh, just just with the right amount of power. 42 HP is the count. And if I was AxBy, what would you even do here? I mean, yeah, okay. I believe the healing is going to come into play here. He knows what he needs to do. But it hasn't dropped yet. That's the problem. It does take a few turns. And I feel like both of these guys know that there are healing items, but they don't know where they are. I think maybe Masha is... I'm pretty sure he will clock on eventually. But he is going to keep the body block, because again, he's just... it's the distance that they are from these areas. They know how long it takes to travel from A to B, and it's kind of like, well, you've got no other options, so you may as well just keep dealing damage. Yeah, this is I was going to say a good defensive spot, but Masha losing track of where the pigs are. Just gets the paratrooper down in the nick of time. And gets the grouping up as well. And there is the medical crate. That is going to be perfect for AxBy. He needs to collect that, because that is really close to Masha, and Masha is... he's like a... he's a hog snuffling for truffles, you know? Anything that's nearby, he's just like, yum, I'm going to collect that. And I like that attitude, kid. Keep it up. You can even see a mind combo here. No, again, that crate is just begging to be collected. Goodbye. No body block for you. No water damage either, but also no jetpacks. And another skip turn. But this is where, once more, AxBy really needs to continue his resource collection. Because those crates, man, that's what this map is about. Getting them crates. I've got to get those crates. Jetpack's in the corner. He's got 5 of them. It just kind of sucks that he's not on the massive amount of health, losing some time through the sliding. But he should get this on target. A little bit of self-damage, but he does get the kill. So there are guided missiles for sale, but they should be in the vicinity of Masha, to go and collect them, so long as he goes the right way. Because he's currently going the long way around. As long as he makes them, though, it won't be a problem. And don't get sidetracked by the jetpack. Prioritize the pickups. Goes for the jetpack as well. Could even go into the high ground. You got to change things up, you know. Because he's got to do something. Just about gets it. Looks for the para. I think looking for the double hit. It was just the single, sorry, he'd already moved away. That was several turns ago. Speaking of guided missiles, right back at you, Masha. As here comes another one looking for that sapper, knowing he is pretty dang healthy. And more crates coming in. So jetpacks are definitely needed, but for now it's going to be more of the same from Masha. I say that as he goes for just the standard sniper rifle shot. This is I was going to say, quite surprising from Mascettino. No poison priority. Turns his attention back to the medic. I think he just kind of realized that the guided missile had already been used. And that the med is still standing very strong. Near enough on full HP. He does only have the single tranquilizer remaining, but all things considered, he is still very much a very important pig. Speaking of important, more crates incoming. This is what I've been waiting for. Sadly, not quite the healing items just yet. Rocket launcher aplenty, and air burst, and jetpack, and just glorious, yummy, heavy weapon stuff. Always good to see. Height advantage is beautiful from up here as well. Low angles are really nice. Not quite the damage he was looking for, but he'll take the 42. So 98 Sapper over there down to 53. There's the 125 but poisoned medic. Sapper alive on 40. Things fairly even despite the medic advantage. And I feel like this game is going to come down to, again, who will collect the healing items first. And it looks like it is going to be AxBy. And over here you'll find healing hands and a medical ball. So that's going to put him right back into the driving seat to remove the poison from his own medic, boost him back up to full HP. And look at this guy, absolutely stacked, almost skips his turn, like a psycho. But yeah, jetpack as well. And he's only on 62 HP, I just hide. Just heal. Oh my goodness, beautiful. That's a little bit scary, but he does manage to get the heals. So both items used. That was a nice turn. Don't see it enough. Don't see it very often. Just how a game can change through healing. Again, Masce is just lasering in on the damage, but not looking at what that crate is. The medical darts. I'm just thinking about the long run here, you know. Resources. It's kind of like big football clubs, you know. They buy up all the important pigs. Wait, no, not pigs. They buy up all the important players so that no one can have them, and it's the same with resources in this game. It's like, even if you don't use them, you're still keeping them from your opponent and denying them the use of using it, you know? And then, of course, the advantage of still holding it is that when you die, so long as you don't have a skip turn against you, it will be on your turn where you'll be able to collect it. So you can gain those resources back near enough at any time, again, just ensuring that you don't have any skips against you. Bearing in mind as well that Abraham still holds those mines ×3. That is another big advantage for AxBy, as Masce's health is slowly being drained. And he's going to look for some kind of big damage here. He's got to prioritize the med, because, yeah, okay, tranks are gone, but those healing hands will prove deadly. He does still have a scout on the field, as he looks to gain the insta-kill here. I mean, he's basically asking for it. He just needs a little shove in the right direction. That crate, again, so tantalizingly close, and that should be a kill, bearing in mind that scout was stacked. I think he's gone. He has indeed. So that brings it down to I could say 4v3 now, as the other scout still lives. And it's a lot more spread out than it was in our previous few rounds. Every kind of late game we've seen pigs been so close together, so it is refreshing seeing the slightly different approach on such a classic map. And overshooting once more from AxBy. I mean, it's not going to matter too much because he does gain the turn, but just a fair few small mistakes here and there from both players throughout this match. across all rounds, really. I guess that just sort of shows the rustiness that we all have, you know? Speaking of rusty, this is easily the tougher shot to make rather than going for the pig on 40. And that's exactly why. You kind of want to keep it as low as it can be, aiming kind of for like the feet. Any terrain that you can see that you can kind of blast the rocket into is always going to be much preferred rather than going for the blind. Like trying to hit them dead on, because most of the time they will actually be able to dodge the projectile just in time. If they're looking at it like directly on, then yeah, it's going to be tough for you to make that damage worthwhile. And that was basically, again, 2 turns from AxBy that just were not so good. But he has the turn advantage, and he is going to gain that final health advantage once more. I think he'd just be wishing that it was maybe a medical ball instead. But having said that, his friendly hogs are a wee bit far away, so he might just shoot and hope from here, try and get the heals with the medical dart from there maybe. It's perhaps a bit too much. But he's got to do something. No, only the 20. So I'm not counting cards over here, but you know, there's 3 turns where things could have happened, but they just didn't quite. And it's kind of given Masche more of the confidence, because you can feel the shift a little bit, you know? That's the insanity of this game. How the confidence can shift from one player to the next in like how is he up there? What? Get down from there. Goodness me. But all Masche's had to do is just deal the consistent damage as he deals damage onto himself and the med. And the para is still alive. I would honestly just jetpack away. Again, low health pigs that have maneuverability, like you can gain a kill here, but the height advantage will be way more important, I feel. So like we talked about in that first round, putting pressure on your opponent to successfully make the shot that is like long distance. I mean, the kill is incoming, but he's really got to be careful. No, again! Really has to be careful not to lose the turn and not to hit himself, but from that distance and at that speed it was very tricky. So lots of low health pigs, but the medic could be dropping some very important resources for Masche very soon. And again, looking at the mini-map, those pigs are quite far from Abraham's position right now. I mean, he could fall in the water, so he could just take them to his grave. He does indeed, so no healing items available. I was going to say the gunner could come down from his perch, but I would honestly stay up there. Just stay where you are, make it as difficult for Masche as you can, and yeah, still got the ×2 rocket launchers. I just love this position. It's so nice. Just allows you to rain hell down with both the rocket launcher and the bazooka. I mean, I wouldn't risk it with mortars. The additional height can be a little troublesome sometimes, and of course the blimp is just an obvious no-no. But the full 50 dealt. Finally some damage on the board for AxBy. I say that as the self-heal comes in. So Masche finally getting his trotters onto some heals. And I would honestly look to heal here, to be honest. Draw yourself back up to 100. Rely on that poison later on. And knocks the gunner down too. The one major downside about the height advantage here is, of course, we are on a slippery map. Snowy maps will never be kind to you. But this paratrooper will never be kind to this gunner. Because this should be a kill, but again, being by the water's edge, it is going to be a tricky maneuver here for AxBy. Because it's his last jetpack as well. And that's kind of worrying me. Okay, makes it out alive. 4 seconds to go. Needs to hit the scout. Goes for the other pig instead, and that's not going to be enough because that is way, way up the hill. So, takes one down, passes it around. No damage there from the paratrooper at all. 3v2. Gunner down to 75 HP. 1 jetpack remaining for the para. I would be looking to use that if I were Masce, but with the time remaining, it's not going to be the case. And this is really proving to be an interesting matchup here because the health pools are just they're all at the annoying numbers. So dealing with that consistently must be just, his brain must be ringing like crazy right now. Just trying to keep track of the numbers, keep track of that goddamn scout as well. That's who he's looking for. He knows he's roughly in the middle of that map there. So whether or not he's got the distance here, this could be a perfect shot. Oh, full 50. AxBy the Redeemer drops the scout down. That low speed is going to prove very important, but don't forget he does hold that self-heal. So he can boost himself back up to, I think it is going to be 55. More resources for Masce. I think it is just going to be another mine. Nope, it's good. Yet again, the kamikaze returns. Seen it in near enough every round. And no jetpack required. Just a shotgun to the face. Pushes Bobby Jim into the depths of hell. No crates to collect though. And it is a 2v1. So once more, I would implore AxBy to gain the height advantage. As he is looking for a jump, he's making it more complicated than it needs to be. When he's already wasted over 3/4 of his turn. And in that time, he's going to maintain the body block. But again, just, oh, everything not so good. Self-damage as well. That is basically guaranteed the round for Masce. Just, oh, very, very indecisive. And even with the low HP, the 2 pigs should be enough, I feel, for him to wrap things up. Maybe I should be holding my breath a little bit more, but I don't know. Of course, if Masce does clinch this one, and heals as well to prove my point, just to drag it out that little bit more. The deciding round, should Masce pick up this one, will be on Uhillock. Another map that is very much iconic, but I haven't seen in quite some time. So if he'd have had a bit more time, and he could have got the kill earlier on the scout, just about stays up there, and comes back down. So not quite working out for AxBy, but that should be an easy finish for Masce to clean this up. I think he was maybe looking for the grenade launcher. He just needs to go around the corner. Go around the corner, TNT. Let's all move on with our day and get on over to Uhillock, you know? With no more TNTs, he does not care about his pigs, but guarantees the win. And takes it here. Round 4 on Frostfight. Never an easy map. Wasn't the one to go first, but this 5th and final round will be juicy because, of course, it will be randomized. So on we go to Uhillock. So welcome back to the 5th and final round here between AxBy94 and the Mascettino. We move on to Uhillock, and AxBy is all out of his heavy hitting classes, so he is down to a gunner, 2 paratroopers, a sapper and a scout. Meanwhile, Masce has saved the best till last, bringing the grenadier, sapper, double para and a scout. So truly a fearsome lineup for this final round, and if he is able to gain the going first randomizer, then that is going to be an even bigger advantage for the Italian, which is absolutely terrifying for AxBy. And lo and behold, the worst thing possible has happened here for AxBy, as this could be the worst start imaginable. But luckily for him, most of the pigs are somewhat far away, so evenly spaced out. He can collect the default rocket launchers and even the jetpack as well in the center. He is close enough to it. Mascettino has proven throughout these rounds that he is not so much a sharer of gifts. He will hoard them for himself, but he holds fire on collecting those jetpacks for a beautiful cluster. And the fall damage as well. Onto the sapper, so that is a perfect way to deal a big blow. But AxBy's got to prioritize the defensive position and defensive strength of the gunner. He can hunker down in this corner. It is the perfect place to be, effectively, for a gunner. So even with the rocket launchers too. In fact, there is, yeah, kind of a big explosion waiting to happen there, with the TNT crate being fairly close to the spawn. A well-placed mortar would have been perfect there. In fact, he got very lucky getting the extra damage, so ends up dealing 27 and removes the TNT from Mascettino, but he will collect some mines. Perfectly done with his own sapper. ×3 is the default. And looking at the position of... oh yeah, he's already dead. You don't even need to see the HP. He's on 57. The cluster was enough. So within the first 2 turns, Mascettino strikes first. And AxBy, you really have to feel for him. John Boy just didn't stand a chance. But there's the potential to boost the jetpacks up to, I think, ×5, as they were reduced from ×3 to ×2. So as far as quantity goes for this para, that will be much appreciated. However, water damage is in order, and this might be the end of the turn here. Maybe not. Using the water trick nicely. Needs to get the bazooka away. Only a second remaining. Not enough time, as the para is in the worst possible spot here. His only saving grace is that he is at like a tiny amount closer to the Gren, but having said that, he is on the other side. And once more, this scout is just in the worst place possible for a para. You could call that spawn unfair, but all things considered, it is Mascettino who prioritized bringing the paras here, so they are the ones that are going to thrive. And in the end, it didn't prove to be as much damage as he intended. That bazooka was pretty weak, as AxBy wastes no time in trying to get some damage in, but I think he got caught in the crossfire there, trying to gain some distance looking at the Gren, but was also trying to hit someone as well. So ends up only going for the scoop. The cattle prod is out, 25 is dealt, and he has ensured that Mascettino can no longer prioritize the scout without damaging his own paratrooper. So a nice counter. Just needs to be a little bit cleaner with those jetpacks. For a moment it looked like he was flying down to meet his compadre, the other para, but kind of halted his usage mid-air, which took out a lot of time. Meanwhile, Mascettino only just... my goodness, what a shot that is. It's not going to be a kill, but it will be a shove. Wow, what a hit that was. Under that kind of time pressure, with the low angle, and ensuring that it was lined up perfectly, without even dealing any self-hits onto his own Gren. Beautiful. We love to see it. Speaking of, we love to see double poisons, and we get it. I'm pretty sure that first one hit. And that could be huge for AxBy. There is still the scout of... The scout? The threat of this scout. The scout of this threat. It's bloody terrifying is what it is. And, yeah, it's not looking too good for this scout. Little bit of saucer. But the enemy paratrooper on 123 HP is one that AxBy cannot forget, but he has revealed his position in order to try and gain the skip, but I'm scared about the rocket falling into the water. It can't be too low. If he does it too low, it's going to miss either side. It's a very tough hit, but he gets it. And this will force Mascettino now to prioritize not losing a turn, because the Gren is near enough on half HP, so he needs to do something about it. Maybe knock somebody towards him. Try and create some kind of body block and extra damage, so that even if you lose the turn, you still maybe gain knocking someone into the water. But by the looks of it, looks like he's just going to go for damage here. In fact, he is looking for the push. So, not quite. Just a little bit too late on that second detonation. But notice how this para has been ignored. It's good for AxBy, because he still has one pig to use, and it's still one pig that Mascettino needs to take out, but it's just a case of getting the most out of this pig and using that final jetpack. If he was just, again, those moments where you just need to be that tiny bit faster, as he ends up running out of time, but he does get the grouping up. Sadly, it is not going to be enough to keep him there, and Mascettino can just remove the skip after picking up the mine crate earlier on. So can't place the second one, but can actually gain a double hit on either side. Place it in the middle between the paras or between one para and a scout. Either choice will kill the dude in the middle. And you kind of have to feel for AxBy. He kind of put himself in the middle of a bad spot. It's one of those things where if you have low health... Sorry about that. If you have low HP pigs, you kind of want to keep them out of the vicinity of where everybody's clustered together, you know? The more that you can drag your opponent out from the center of damage, you have to kind of stretch their resources. So if they have one pig in front of them that is on low HP, and then they have another target that is kind of like mid-health, you know, their obvious thinking is that they want to damage that pig to take him out in one hit. But if they're not close together, he has to decide, you know, do I have enough time? A little bit of self-damage there. Down to 2. Gren down to 11, so he becomes a low health annoyance. Bar very much in favour of Mascettino right now. And like I say, the moral of the story is low health pigs just try and stay way away from the firefight, you know? You can sometimes use them as bait, where it's like, you know that they're not going to last, they're going to be taken out in a single hit. As the full 40 drops onto the head of the scout, and that ensures Mascettino does indeed get the skip turn. So nice use of both jetpack and bazooka combo. Cheeky wombo combo coming out. And I really feel for the sky blue gunner in the corner, who has just watched his team get absolutely decimated by the yellows. Of course, the additional clusters from The Grenadier proved to be pretty fruitful. It's not over yet, of course, but at the moment the damage output from Mache is very solid. As Abraham falls to 100, the Paratrooper falls, and it is indeed a 1v4. So Grenadier is the obvious one, followed by the Sapper to maybe gain a skip. But it's very much got to be Masha is the one that has to bring the attack, and AxBy needs to be the one hitting the shots from his defensive position. So it brings it down to a 3v2. 69 is the health pool of this Sapper, who is looking for the easy hit. So I just need to ensure that he gets over there and maintains the magic number. There is potential for a deletion of this pig. The distance... okay. I was going to say, the distance to the wall is quite easy to gain the insta-kill. You're actually much closer than you feel you are, even though you have the height advantage. Just a small amount of knockback can be enough to push you over there, but 50 damage is dealt, and yeah, maybe some head jumps. Some head jumps, maybe? No? I don't know. There's, it's like, what can you really do? It's 3v1, the health pools are just slightly too much. And even a flamethrower trick wouldn't be enough here to draw this one back. Rocket launcher is still available. Mortar is still a thing. The blimp is chilling above. And we are out of time once more. Unfortunate again for AxBy. But this should be an easy cleanup for Mache to finish things here. As we see said jetpack to deal the 20 damage, leaving him with 30. Okay. I thought they were both out of bounds. But just to make sure, he is going to blast the ground, and that is going to wrap it up for this exhibition match here. AxBy finishes with 2. Mache takes the win with 3. GG to both players. It was spicy at times, but also just a lot of things to learn from, I feel, going into this exhibition. We're all a bit rusty, and of course with the league starting in just a few weeks' time, yeah, it's going to be very interesting going into those groups. But we hope to see you in time for those matches. They will of course be posted in the Discord, so do keep an eye out. But once again, GG to both these players. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you later for the next one.